She's not what you'd expect. She's tough and feisty, but gentle and tender. She makes millions and gives millions to the poor. She cries, she laughs, she teaches, she comforts. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Hey, welcome to the Dani Johnson Show. We're really blessed that you decided to join us today, and hopefully you're going to feel like you're getting a blessing out of being a part of this community and a part of the content that we're going to be talking about today. Listen, you know what? The year is wrapping up, right? 2017. Can you believe how fast this thing has gone by? Literally during Thanksgiving, as I'm preparing I think it was 8 loaves of pumpkin bread and 3 cheesecakes and 2 25-pound turkeys. I literally sit there going, wait a second, man, it seems like just a couple months ago I was doing the same exact thing. The year has flown by. Have you noticed? For some of us, we feel pretty good about what we accomplished this year, and for others of us, no, not so much. But here's the reality. We still have time. We have time to restart. We have time to refresh. And I'm going to challenge you not to wait till January 1. Why don't you be one of those that gets a head start on the game? You know, it's kind of like starting a new diet. Have you ever noticed that most people who continuously fail on dieting usually start on Monday? Well, if you've been around this community for any length of time at all, you probably have heard this statement. Find out what everybody else is doing and do the exact opposite. If 99.9% of the people start a diet on Monday and most people fail in a new diet, then don't start on Monday. Start today. Like, wait, but today's almost over. Wait, there's not enough time. Yes, there is. You can actually start with your next meal, especially if you said in January that you wanted to lose X amount of pounds, or you wanted to begin lifting weights, or you wanted to start riding a bike or running. You know, maybe in January you had said that you wanted to improve your relationship with the person you decided to exchange vows with, however many years ago that you did that. Maybe you said that you were going to start, eating healthier and eating something green on your plate every time, cutting out sodas, reducing your sugar intake. Or maybe even you set a goal that you wanted to improve your work. You wanted to get better at work. You wanted to make contribution in the workplace. You wanted to make yourself more valuable in the workplace. Whatever the goal was that you set, please don't start on Monday. Start right now. So especially in terms of a diet or getting more fit. Okay, well, but wait, Dani, the day is, it's this time. No, don't wait till tomorrow. Don't wait till next week. Start with your next meal. And if you haven't worked out today and you said in January that you were going to work out, then get on the floor right now and start doing some push-ups. I'm saying the starting of now is what's going to help you to succeed, not waiting until the year is all done, and then you're going to wait till January 1. And guess what happens on January 1st? Come on, you and I both know. January 1st is the extension of all the partying that happened the night before. Then you're recovering on January 1. And January 1 is all the football games with all the nachos and the pizza and more soda and maybe some beer if you're a part of that kind of a community. So, then it's like January, the kids are still out of school, Dani. So, I'm going to start January 6th because the kids are back in school. Listen, don't do that. You still have a couple of weeks. That's what you have. You have the ability to start right now, here today. You got to get in action mode. Instead of delaying what your start date is going to be, you're going to start right now. So we asked a question on Facebook. What was the number one thing that you needed to succeed at? A goal that you were setting that you must accomplish. We posted this question on Facebook. And by the way, if you haven't joined us on Facebook yet, I encourage you to do that now. There's over 500,000 people who have gathered together on our Facebook page alone, which you can find it at Dani, which is Dani Johnson Live. This is an amazing community of people that are willing to hold you accountable, and you need to be willing to hold them accountable. People who encourage each other on a daily basis, people who are keeping their family first, or at least doing their best to do that, growing in their income, annihilating their debt, and taking a small portion of what they make and funneling it towards projects like taking care of the poor. Like, I don't know if you heard, but we accomplished our goal of 1,000 homes for the extreme poor in Nicaragua. What a huge accomplishment. We set that goal 2.5 years ago. Bam, it was done. All the money that came in to be able to fund that project, and the houses are literally, the families are moving in right now as we speak. Families all over the nation of Nicaragua who have extreme poverty moving in. Now, again, this was a goal that was set. It was a vision that we had, and we stepped out to go and accomplish it. We didn't wait till the right time to start it. We didn't wait till the sun, moon, and stars all lined up. That's not how we did it. We literally stepped out to get it done. We started immediately, and 2.5 years, then it was finished. All the money came in, $5.2 million project. Isn't that amazing? So listen, I'm not like the best person with setting and accomplishing goals, but I've accomplished a few things in life, especially if you've known my past, right? Grew up on welfare in a violently abusive, drug-infested home. Pregnant at 17 out of wedlock. It was really painful. Painful why? I was in a town of 700, people who all went to church, and my parents were the drug addicts, and so they didn't go to church. So, of course, I got the major bad rap on that. Bottom line is I did get pregnant, and that wasn't very smart, especially who I got pregnant with, the deacon's son. Ouch. Anyway, I was just signing myself up for some gossip. Anyhow, but pregnant at 17, homeless at 21, but millionaire by 23. Today, a multi-millionaire who gives away the income. I do not take a salary from my business, and I do not touch the profits. The profits go straight to the poor after the staff has been rewarded for their hard work. And of course, Uncle Sam always has to get his fair share, if you want to call that fair. Anyway, so we asked this question on Facebook. We want to know, what are some goals that you have right now that you're going to take steps in towards accomplishing? Or maybe, what did you accomplish in 2017 that you're really proud of? What did you do that you're saying, man, I'm really happy. I set this goal and I have accomplished it and I'm feeling good ending this year. So the first person we're going to go over to is Karen Matem from Doncaster in the UK. Faithful watcher of the Dani Johnson Show, all the way from the UK. So Karen, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dani. Hi.
Hi. So what about you? You've got some goals you want to accomplish, or is there something that you did accomplish that you set out to do at the beginning of the year and you're really proud of yourself?
I think this year has been incredible because we've actually come to some of the live events for the first time. We've flown over from the UK and it's completely changed.
So events, when you say live events, you've come out to First Steps to Success?
Yeah, we flew out to First Steps to Success. We came to Dynasty and we came to Hot Married Secrets from the UK because we just needed to plug in, and it's just been incredible.
So what's happened? What's happened since then? And actually, let's back up. Why? Why did you spend all that money to fly from the UK over here to the United States to attend a First Steps to Success?
I've actually been following you on Facebook for about 4 years.
Wow.
But it was actually a post that you put out last year. It was around about October last year, of somebody from the UK that had cleared off all the debt using the War on Debt program.
Wow.
And so I literally just posted a comment underneath that. Harriet got in touch with me, and she's like, you need to do this. We need to. And literally from that, my husband and I at the time, we were sort of like fighting constantly over debt, over money. Our story was literally like, we can't afford it. We have no money. We're always in debt. And that was our story. That's what we spoke over our finances. And we just didn't realize that is what we were doing. We were constantly fighting all the time. And we actually took a step of faith and sat down together and said, look, we need to pray and ask God for the money to come in for this. And he blessed us so much every step of the way. The finances came in for the conference tickets, which we booked. The money came in for the flight.
Wow.
And even on the day before we came, I actually got a tax return, which I have never, ever had a tax return in 25 years. Wow. And I'm like, he's even sent us with spending money. And I knew that it was going to be so significant actually coming to these events, and it really has.
So what's changed? First of all, I just have to pause you for a second. When you started talking about that, you and your husband sat down and you just took that leap of faith and you began to pray and ask God, like, please, provide for us to be able to go and do this. That just blessed me so much, man. My eyes filled up with tears when you said that, because so few people do. You know, people who are stuck financially, which I've been in those shoes before. I have been in the place, well, of course, I was homeless, you know, with a crazy amount of debt. You know, my husband and I, many years ago, in fact, 18 years ago, had nearly $1 million worth of debt, and we were still spending more money, and we still were not satisfied, and we were still fighting, and nothing was changing. And so I understand that, but so many of us who say we call upon the Most High God, those who we say that we read the Bible, those that say we worship, you know, the Father in heaven, and that we claim that Jesus is the Messiah, and yet we live these lives that are just pathetic. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing in it that is blessed, but instead we're stuck in ruts. We feel like we're drowning and suffocating between the fighting over the money or the not having enough of it, or the marriage has become boring, or, you know, at best, okay. You know, we just kind of settle into this ho-hum life. But you guys didn't just settle there. You were like, hey man, we got to change. Something's got to work. And so that's crazy that you followed us for 4 years on Facebook, and then finally identify with this one story of a couple from the UK who paid off all of their debt and now are completely debt free. And so then you pray. So many people don't do that. They know they're supposed to pray. They know they're supposed to ask God for help, but they don't. And the Bible's clear. You have not because you ask not.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
And you guys asked, and He blessed you. He blessed you with the finances to come over here. So you actually believed for something impossible.
Totally, yeah. And I think sometimes, you know, it was right in the middle of one of the arguments that I was having with Tim. And he said something, and because sometimes when you argue, you actually say things that you don't mean.
Yeah.
And he said something, but it resonated with me so much that I'm like, oh no, I am so not having this. And he literally said, well, maybe we were just born for mediocrity. And I'm like, whoa, no. And it almost like stopped the argument right there, because it's like, right, we are not having this.
Wow.
And it's almost like, you know what? I'm a daughter of the Most High God. You know, He's my Father, and I'm His daughter, and I actually didn't recognize that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's why I'm never asking for anything.
Yeah.
And actually expect, you know, God put the desires in my heart.
Yep.
And it's almost like a hide and seek. He puts them there until I start seeking Him, and then He reveals, actually, this is what I want you to do.
Yep.
And I'm like, wow. I just need to ask.
That's right. Absolutely.
You know,
and so few of us do.
Want me to go?
So few of us ask. So few of us are willing to step out in that childlike faith. This is Dani Johnson. I want you to hold the line, Karen, because I want to hear what has happened to you. You said this has been a phenomenal year since you stepped out in faith. We want to hear more about that. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more right after this.
Coming up next, Karen had a goal to have a better marriage. Find out what she did that helped her reach that goal on The Dani Johnson Show. More resources, more training, more results. The DaniJohnson.com Insider Membership is your ultimate success shortcut. Get exclusive access to reports, videos, audios, ebooks, cheat sheets, and other training for your personal and professional life. This is truly DaniJohnson.com's best kept secret. Become an Insider member today and get on the fast track to success.
Imagine living in a decrepit, unsafe hovel made of waste material on top of old mining tunnels that could explode and sink your home at any moment. Imagine no water to drink, no safe place to raise your children, no food for your starving baby. Imagine that your kids can't learn to read because they have to work to support the family instead of going to school. Could you imagine living in that kind of fear and hopelessness? This is exactly what families are dealing with in the poverty-stricken village of Santa Pancha, Nicaragua. These families can barely meet their basic food, water, and housing needs. We are transforming that village. Be a part of this miracle. I want you to go to the website now and learn how you can help. Go to kingsransom.org and click on Santa Pancha. There you can join with other warriors against poverty and help bring a miraculous transformation to Santa Pancha. That's kingsransom.org, kingsransom.org. This is your chance. This is your shot. Get your copy of War on Debt right now. There's one waiting for you that has your family's name on it. And inside that package is freedom. Your family's freedom is on the inside of that package. All you have to do is open it up, press play, and start applying what I teach you in this program. 888-757-8880. You and I are going to help your family become completely debt-free in the next 5 to 7 years. Just imagine how that's going to feel.
What multimillionaire do you know that volunteers their time to help ordinary people like you and me? There's only one. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
So there you are. You're fighting with your spouse. You're suffering with debt. And your spouse says to you, maybe we are just supposed to be mediocre. That's exactly what Karen heard from her husband. And she said, no, not an option. Today we're talking about those goals that we set at the beginning of the year that maybe we forgot about. Maybe they need to be taken off the shelf, dusted off, and we need to give it our last fair shot. The year's not over. You got a couple weeks left. You can make something happen. So we asked the question on Facebook, are you happy with what you've done this year? Did you set some goals and you accomplish them? If so, we want to hear about it. And if not, let's talk about it, and let's see what we can do in the next few weeks to end the year going, I did good, versus there I am again, stuck in a mediocre pile of stuff I don't want to live in anymore, suffering from my own choices or being a victim of circumstance. I got to fix this. So Karen, before we took that last break, you said that when your husband said maybe we're just called to be mediocre, that was a major wake-up call for you. And so that you guys got together, you agreed that it's time. We're going to be flying over to the United States. We are going to be attending these First Steps to Success conferences, and we're going to change our lives. So what happened since then? I mean, this was January, right? When was your first event? January. So January in Orlando, Florida. You joined about 1,200 people that happened to be in that event for 3 days. What has changed since then that you're feeling like we had this goal, we accomplished it?
I think more than anything, my relationship with my husband has just completely changed. The GEMS program absolutely transformed both our relationships, because we realised that we're actually polar opposites to each other. So he's an emerald, I'm a sapphire. And it's like, oh, wow, this is why we've been having so many
fights. So let me pause you right there so that people understand, because there's someone listening right now that has no idea what GEMS is, has never heard of it, doesn't know what an emerald, doesn't know what a sapphire is. So GEMS is a training communication system, and it's a system that helps you to discover who you are and who the others are that are in your life, and how to interact with them, how to find out what makes them tick, how they think, what motivates them, how they were uniquely formed to be who they are. And rather than us trying to change our spouse or our kids or our coworkers to turn into what we think they should be, but actually to see and recognize what they are, how they operate, and how that's actually a benefit to the whole. And so she learned through the GEMS program at First Steps to Success that her and her husband were total opposites, which meant they were trying to change each other. How well was that working, Karen?
It's terrible.
It's war.
In fact, I actually when you was explaining about the sapphires, I actually sat down and literally just sobbed, because I thought, you know what, for almost my entire life, I've been trying to change who I am. Mm-hmm. And it's like, when you were speaking about sapphires and who they are, I'm like, that is exactly me. That's exactly the person that God created me to be. And I've been trying to behave almost, and to become like an emerald, and to
be organized, to be on time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a prison for your personality. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That's amazing.
So I'm free in who I am.
Yes.
Him's free in who he is, but I can actually speak to him in a way that he actually understands what I'm talking about. I still go off chasing rabbits and squirrels, and he's kind of used to that. But the way that we work with each other now, and actually just realised, especially from the Hot Marriage Secrets, that was such an incredible event. And it made us realize that in our relationship, we had actually allowed so much sarcasm into the relationship that when we were actually asked to sit down and speak a blessing over each other, that I sat down and I put my hand on Tim's arm and I said to my amazing, incredible husband, and I stopped because it was almost like I was waiting for a sarcastic comment to either follow what I was about to say or what he was going to say to me.
Wow.
And I'm like, whoa, how is it that, yes, I do think he's incredible and amazing, but I'm not speaking that out over him.
Yep.
I can call him, really sarcastic, really awful names, and we do it to each other, and we call it fun.
And it's not fun.
I couldn't say a blessing over him.
Yep.
And we really had to. Both of us felt like that.
That's amazing.
Like,
That's amazing. Karen, I'm so proud of you. What a huge thing that you guys set a goal to have a better relationship, and you accomplished that in the last 12 months. I am really, really proud of you. Thank you so much for sharing with us. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more after this.
Don't go away. The next segment might just change your life. It's the Dani Johnson Show.
Hi, I'm Dani Johnson. The most common question I get usually are from people who are trying to juggle their life. They've got kids who are involved in all kinds of activities. They've got business or their job, finances, trying to get out of debt, plus all their church activities and all the volunteer activities. And they're pulling their hair out going, how do I juggle this all? Man, I once lived just like that until I learned Time Secrets. Time Secrets showed me how to be able to cut my hours from 100 hours a week that I was working down to 20 hours a week and tripled my income as a direct result with what I learned. Time Secrets also showed me how to get my priorities in order, which healed up my marriage. And I became a mother that I was proud of versus becoming the mother I didn't want to be. And so if you feel like your world is running around in all kinds of different circles, you can fix that. Call 888-757-8880. Again, 888-757-8880 for Time Secrets.
Did you know you can see Dani Johnson live and in person? Go to DaniJohnson.com and find out about our next live event. First Steps to Success. Register today. Call 866-760-8255 or go to DaniJohnson.com/FSTS.
So 4 years ago in July, we showed up to our first Dani Johnson event, our first Steps to Success. And we were completely desperate in every area of our life. At the time, I thought it was just because of our finances, but then I figured out pretty quickly that it was because of my lack of people skills that we were where we were. We sat in the front row. We got fast track, and we sat in the front row right in the center next to some amazing people because we were so hungry, so desperate, so broken, and I pretty much cried through the entire event, honestly. And when she did the War on Debt, which she will show you, this afternoon, I went back immediately and got it. She had just started talking. I heard a couple stories, and I was like, if they can do it, I know we can do it. So we went back and got it and listened to it on the way home in the car, because we drove from Michigan all the way to Missouri. So we listened to it in the car, and when we got home, we immediately got our papers out. We wrote down our plan, and we started applying it. And within 14 months, we paid off over $62,000 worth of debt. We never in a million years thought that was possible. There's so much that has happened in the last 4 years, and I'm the person that wants the results immediately. I don't like the process of getting there. I want to just get there. But I've learned to appreciate the process over the last 4 years and just seeing the transformation that has happened in us. Personally, we individually experienced different things, and we experienced a lot of things together. I was paying our bills. I was completely disrespectful to my husband, and didn't really know how bad it actually was. And so that part of our life is still improving. I can say we're a work in progress. It takes time, and we have grown so much.
We showed up. My wife, I didn't know this at the time, but she was battling thoughts of suicide. I had no idea. I thought I was being a perfectly good husband. I did my best to serve her, be a great guy. But what she needed was somebody who would step up and be a leader in our marriage. That's not who I was. And I was totally emasculated, physically emasculated by, there's someone in our church, the pastor. And so we felt the brokenness of a church, having to leave and just hurt, and devastated. One of the biggest breakthroughs started in our marriage is when Lucy started being a wife to me. And I, as a leader, I should step up, right? Take action first, be the initiator. She did it. I was like, oh my gosh, this is a completely different person. And I can tell you, our marriage has just, it's amazing the difference between her feeling suicidal, me stepping down as a leader, to me taking the initiative and just looking her in the eyes and saying, honey, thank you for allowing me to be your leader. And she just melts every time. This is awesome. So. So let me just tell you this, guys. If you're struggling, or you're broke, you're wondering what your next step is, hey, just take action. Follow those notes that you just took. Take action and do it, because your story is going to be here, and people are going to be inspired by your story. So are y'all ready to take notes? All right, let's do this. Help me welcome Miss Dani Johnson, America's favorite millionaire, to the stage.
So what is success? A big house? A big title? A big fat paycheck? Dani Johnson has had them all, and you need to hear what she discovered when she had them. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
So there you are, right? We started off the year, and maybe you had a little bit of a picture of what you wanted to accomplish, and you might have been that person who just said, forget about it, man. I hate setting goals. It never works. I always just fail at it. Forget it. It's too much pressure. Listen, I found myself in that very same boat years ago. In fact, I was that kind of person that used to judge my husband for his lack of setting goals. And I was that person that had like a list of 50 things that I had to accomplish in the next 12 months, right? By February, I was so discouraged, man. I was like, forget it. I felt like a failure. I completely fell off of whatever wagon it was that I had gotten on and just said, forget about it. And then there was my husband. He came up with 3 short, small things that he wanted to accomplish in that next 12 months. And it was like things like walk through the gym doors. And to me, I would look at it and go, really? That's your goal? Stop drinking Coca-Cola. Can't you come up with something like really meaningful? Like, can't there be something, like big, monumental, life-altering, change the world kind of goal? But instead, you want to walk through the doors of the gym and you want to stop drinking Coca-Cola? Really? And I can't remember what the third one was this particular year. But here's the facts. Guess what? Hans accomplished all 3 things that he set out to do in that year, and Dani failed. Didn't do a single one of the 50 that when I was making my list, I'm going to go make this happen. I flopped. He succeeded. So I really learned how to set goals from my husband. I did. You get so discouraged. You say you want to do all these things, but yet you're not really evaluating the reality of how to be able to do it. The timeline. The list goes on, but listen to this. So his goal, for example, to just walk through the doors at the gym, what was that? Well, he knew that if he just walked through the doors, there's a good chance he'd probably work out. That year, he gained 10 pounds of muscle and decreased his body fat tremendously. How? Setting the goal of just to walk through the doors. Because he knew. That was the hardest part. The working out part was not the hard part. The hardest part was actually showing up. And they've said that 80% of success is simply just showing up. So we're talking about today, we set some goals at the beginning of 2017. So what do we have? We have 2018 that is right around the corner. So either you were like me, like I used to be, I got 50 things I'm going to do, and you flopped. right? You don't want to make that same mistake for 2018. So then what do we have? We have 2017 that you might have been like Hans. You had 3 things on your list that you wanted to accomplish, and you accomplished all 3. We want you to tell me. I want to hear. Are you celebrating what you've done this year? You feel good about it? Or are there some things that you've got a goal going into 2018, and maybe you want to accomplish something ending this year? So we've got Cheryl on the line from London. Cheryl, welcome to the Dani Johnson Show.
Hi, Dani.
Hi.
Thanks for having me.
So what about you?
Hi.
Which person were you? Did you accomplish what you wanted to do, or do you got something still that is just not quite there?
Oh, yeah. I'm the second one. No. I'm the one that writes long lists. Yeah, long list. But, I think I did accomplish something quite good this year, which was having a baby. So that's been a big one.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
What did you have, boy or girl?
A girl.
Oh.
Yeah, she's 8 months now.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So what's on your list that you want to do, that you set out, you made a long list that you wanted to do in 2017, and you checked one off? I had a baby.
I literally... Well, I had improved my relationship, but the way that I want to do that is kind of 2 ways, because I think especially this year I found myself being quite isolated at home, and it sounds a bit sad but a bit lonely. And looking at it, I've been trying all these things to try and make things better, but actually what happens is I just get really frustrated. And I think sort of feeling resentful towards my partner because he works long hours and he's not there on the weekends, and I'm like disappointed, and that just leads to me feeling like quite self-pitying, and it gets worse, you know. So I think the main thing for me is to find more connection with people, including my partner. Yeah.
So what do you think is going to fix your situation?
I've been thinking about this. I think there's 2 things really. One is I have sort of spoken. I've sat down with my partner and said, right, I really want to have a night out with you, and he kind of settled to once a month, and then we did that once. And then the next month it was like, oh, I'm really busy, or we couldn't get a babysitter, and and I've just let it go, and I've got to try again, because it's coming from my side, the push is from my side.
Well, let me ask you a question. How did that one date go?
It was good, but it was quite funny because we went out, and basically this man just sat down at our table and started talking to us. We were like, who are you? But he was a very interesting man. We ended up having a third person at our date night. We had a good time, though. It was good.
So you had was it someone that you knew, or was a strange man added to your table?
No, it was he lived around the corner. He lived around the corner from our house.
Okay.
But we didn't know him. No, it was quite random, yeah. But
so a perfect stranger was allowed to invade your date night.
Yeah.
What would you do different? Because that date night started a ripple.
Wasn't a date night.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That wasn't a date night. So what did you wear that night? How did you prepare yourself for that date night? What did you do to captivate your husband that night?
Oh, yeah. I know I did dress up, and I wore my lovely new blue shoes with a high heel, which I haven't worn for basically a year whilst I was pregnant.
Mm-hmm. So you presented yourself in a beautiful way that would make you enticing to your partner?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I think so.
You think so? Okay. And so what could you have done different when some strange man...
Yeah, it's a real... Yeah, I think we both were a bit British and a bit polite, and he was Australian, and we didn't really know what to do with him. I think we were a bit... I think...
I want to know what you could have done different. I don't care what happened. I'm saying, what could you have done different?
would you mind if you left us alone, please? I don't know.
Yeah, it's so nice to meet you. And my husband and I have not been able to have any time alone. We've just had a baby, and it's been a really long time. We'd love to exchange numbers and maybe get together another time. But right now, I just really need to be with my man.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, because it sounds like maybe the relationship between you and your partner was not a higher priority, but meeting somebody new was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Who was carrying on most of the conversation?
Oh, the Australian.
The Australian just came over and talked.
Yeah.
Somebody, listen, bottom line is you are in control of how that date could go. And so I would be working on enticing your spouse again and enticing him by starting to flirt with him right now. And say, I have a date set aside and I can't wait to, and you tell him what you're going to plan to do with him that night. In fact, I would even be saying what you might do with him tonight. Flirt with him, engage him, entice him, make him want to be with you. Being resentful makes him want to run away from you. He feels successful at work. He feels like a failure at home. He feels wanted at work. He feels resented at home. He feels accomplished at work. He feels like a failure at home. So one way to get your spouse to want to spend more time with you is to give him more than work gives him. How can he feel accomplished at home? That's not by giving him a list of do's and a list of what you didn't do's. That will never make your partner feel like he's accomplishing something at home. Women have a tendency of making their mate feel like a failure in every department. And they can't figure out why their husbands have affairs with other women, other men, or with their job. And it's simply because they don't feel appreciated at home, they don't feel accomplished at home, they don't feel wanted at home, they don't feel recognized at home. But what they feel is that there's an endless of things that they're failing at. And they're not going to stick around if they're feeling like they're feeling. How do I know this, Cheryl? Because I did this to my husband. I did this exact thing to my husband. So he made sure and he worked out 5 nights a week, didn't come home till after midnight. Why? I hated him. And I made sure he knew it. So I made sure that the house that we were living in was a place that he didn't want to be around. And I didn't even realize what I was actually doing. So resentment and bitterness is never going to help him want to be around you. But begin to entice him through loving, encouraging words, and begin to entice him with what you plan on doing with him, how you plan on loving him, if you're catching my wink. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more right after this.
Did you set a goal this year and then come up short on it? Do you know why? When we come back, Dani will break it down for you. This is the Dani Johnson Show. Put the Dani Johnson Show to work for you by advertising your product or service. The Dani Johnson Show has tens of thousands of listeners who are just like you. People who need what you're offering but just don't know it yet. Savvy business owners and marketing directors advertise on the Dani Johnson Show. To promote your products and services on the Dani Johnson Show, email john@danijohnson.com or call 866-760-8255.
Prior to plugging into DaniJohnson.com, I was working 60 to 75 hours a week. I was completely stressed out. I was incredibly angry with my husband. We were in over $350,000 worth of debt. By applying the strategies that Dani teaches, in the last 3.5 years, we have paid off $170,000 in debt. We are no longer roommates, and we no longer spend every single cent that we make. We now have made tens of thousands of dollars in passive income in investments. We are on the right track. We're traveling around the world together, and we are building homes for those who really need it. So I don't know about you, but if you want to cut back from 60 to 20 and 30 hours a week, if you want to mend some relationships, if you want to make your life more efficient and a lot more fun, and you want to be the best version of you, I highly recommend that you get registered because your life is about to change.
Prior to plugging into DaniJohnson.com, first steps to success in creating dynasty, my wife and I were really lost. We were struggling in a relationship. We were struggling financially, drowning in debt. Our relationship was really broken. We were in a bad place. We were living in two completely different states and not really honoring each other. Once we got plugged into the community, we noticed a shift in our lives. Most importantly, we came together as a husband and wife. That was the first thing we did. And when we finally came together under the same roof, things started to change. Over the past 3 years, we've been able to pay off over $495,000 in debt. I know in my business, I've had a job created for me that increased my income by 50%. That has actually opened up the door to allow my wife and I to spend more time with each other. So I don't know where you are. I don't know if your relationship is super awesome. I don't know if your job is immaculate. I don't know if you're debt-free. But what I do know is if you're not any one of those things, your next step is to get plugged into DaniJohnson.com, go on the website, get plugged into the community. I promise you, your life will never be the same.
Prior to plugging into DaniJohnson.com, I was a broke college student, drowning in debt, and I felt like the world was crashing all around me, and I had bad relationships. Since plugging into DaniJohnson.com and First Steps to Success, I was able to pay off $6,600 in 4 months. Now I'm able to give 10% of my income to wherever my heart desires. I actually, using the skills that I learned from Dani, I actually landed a job before I graduated college, and I'm able to travel the world. All I know is if you're serious about annihilating your debt, traveling the world, helping people, and having fun doing so, I highly recommend you get registered for the next First Steps to Success. Do it now, don't wait, don't even thinking about it. If you're ready to change your life, just do it.
We went to our first ever First Steps to Success just 10 weeks ago, and it has definitely been life-changing ever since.
We felt like we got hit by a 2x4, but it was the best 2x4 because what we realized is that our priorities were clearly out of line. I had been building a home-based business and had been working 80 to 100 hours, and I realized that that is not my role, and that I had actually taken my husband's, and it was that realization that something had to change, and we immediately went home and changed everything. There was no hesitation. We said, you know what, we need to be obedient to God.
And we've implemented the tools day one. We started implementing what Dani taught us, invested in ourselves, invested in our kids, got our priorities in line. We've now actually paid off just not quite $60,000 in debt and looking at a couple more investments here as head of the household.
It's been absolutely incredible. So I just encourage you, if any of this speaks to you, if you're wanting to get out of debt, if you're wanting better communication, if you're wanting to elevate to the higher level of life, get to First Steps to Success and plug into DaniJohnson.com.
Change your habits, change your future. And now, back to the Dani Johnson Show.
Sometimes we have goals that we have not set ourselves up to succeed with. And right here on the Dani Johnson Show, every single day, we are bringing you content that will help to equip you, train you, and set you up to succeed in the things that you say you want to. You know, here at the very beginning of the show, we heard that there was a woman who had a goal to improve her relationship with her spouse. And they did everything that was possible to make that happen. And yet we hear from other people that they say they're lonely and they want to improve that, but yet don't do anything to actually make that happen. You see, our mouths and our bodies are doing something every day that's either helping us get closer to our goal or helping us to stay away from our goal. The choice is yours. How are you going to end this year? That's what we're talking about today. How are you going to end this year? Please do not wait till January 1st to now accomplish a whole new list. You still have a couple of weeks left to actually make a dent in the goals that you set all the way back in January. At least you're moving yourself ahead. So we're talking about what do you want to accomplish? What did you accomplish? How do you feel about how you're ending the year? Or what are you going to change between now and December 31st? We're going to the phones. We've got Pam Thompson with Westerville, Ohio. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dani. It's great to be here.
Yes. So tell me, what were some goals maybe that you set at the beginning of the year that you feel like you accomplished, or is there still something kind of lagging in the darkness back there, nagging at you saying, you didn't do it again?
Right, and that would be war on debt. I've made some progress, but it's time to buckle down and get it done. I don't have that much left, but
how much debt have you paid off?
I have paid off $4,000 of debt, and I have $12,000 left.
Wow, that's not that much debt. Good job.
Thank you.
Good job. So when did you set the goal to pay off your debt?
You mean the $12,000?
Yeah, the total $12,000. Was that in January that you wanted to pay off all your debt this year?
Yes.
Okay. So, and you've paid off $4,000.
Right.
Okay. What about the year before? Had you had a goal to pay off debt?
The year before, yes, I did.
You did. And how much debt did you pay off that year? None?
I didn't keep track. I didn't keep track.
Did you pay off any?
Yes, I did.
Oh.
I probably paid off $3,000.
Okay. All right. And what about the year before?
The year before I was just doing the very minimum payments.
Got you. So you weren't paying off any debt because minimum monthly payments doesn't pay off anybody's debt. All you're doing is paying interest.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So you actually set a goal this year to pay off how much of the $12,000 worth of debt?
Well, I had planned on having all of it paid off.
Oh, you did. Okay. So you have succeeded at 4,000 of the 12,000.
No, that was
you got 12,000 left to go. So you had $16,000 worth of debt that you wanted to pay off this year.
That's correct.
Okay, cool. So let's talk about this because oftentimes with goals, there's things that we can allow to get in our way. But what's important is that, they say that hindsight is 20/20, which means that looking back, I can see more clearly, right? So when you look at this year, right, what could have been done different to have accomplished this $16,000 goal, and or did I set the goal too high? See, sometimes we get aggressive and sometimes we don't think about really what the cost is going to be able to pay that off and whether or not we can actually do it realistically. So we end up setting this super high goal that only sets us up for failure. So even though you paid off $4,000 worth of debt this year, you end up seeing that as a failure instead of a success. So let me ask you that question. Looking back, right, over the last 11 months, because you still got a month, you got 3 weeks or so left before the end of the year, which means it's not over. It doesn't mean wait till January to start paying off debt again, okay?
Right.
But it means that, okay, what could I have done differently? Should you have set the goal at $16,000? Do you think you could have actually done that if you stayed focused, or was that too steep?
It was too steep.
Okay.
Because I just wanted to get it. I really wanted to get it done, but it was too steep.
Okay. All right. So then that lesson with setting goals would be what?
Make the goal realistic.
Yeah. Okay. So what would you have set the goal to be if it was actually realistic and you really thought the thing through, right? Of actually, what does that mean? If I'm going to pay off $16,000 worth of debt, that means you were going to pay off how much per month? Over $1,000 a month worth of debt.
Right.
Right?
Right.
You'd have paid off over $1,000 a month. Okay. So, in fact, like $1,400, I would imagine, somewhere around $1,400 a month worth of debt. So was that feasible?
No.
Okay. So what would have been feasible?
Probably $6,000.
$6,000 for the year would have been more like it. So $500 a month going towards paying off your debt. Right.
Right. And then if I had extra, then I could pay more than the $500.
Totally. Okay, so let's keep going. So number one, we learned that we didn't really think it all the way through, and we didn't pick a realistic number that we could actually do and feel really good and confident about. So when it comes to goals, it's really important to pick goals that you feel really good, solid, and confident that you know you can do. So you're building a success track record instead of a behind the 8 ball. I'm now pressured. I now feel like a failure. I now feel like I'm never going to be able to do it. So phooey with it. I'm done. It's not going to happen. And then you rack up $10,000 worth of more debt. Right? So like, which path feels better? You know, the one that I'm building successes on, or the one that I'm just flopping around like a fish that's dying on a deck? Right?
Absolutely. The one that I'm, accomplishing.
Exactly. Right? So if you would have set it at 6,000, that means, hello, you've made 4,000 towards it so far. What can you do in the next 30 days, girl? What can you do in the next 30 days to find another $2,000 of cash that you could pay off that debt, and then you would have accomplished what it should have been? Is there something you can sell? Is there a way to make some quick cash? Think about it. Make me a list. Make a list of 10 things that you could do to create $2,000 over the next 30 days so that you would have accomplished the goal that could have been set. And guess what's going to happen? You're going to shock yourself when you do it. Come up with a list of 10. Give me one right now.
Actually, okay, so I'm a little embarrassed. No, I'm not. But I from a previous job that I had to buy a grill.
Yeah.
And it was probably $50, and I hardly used that.
So you could sell that.
I could sell that.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So just simply make a list of 10 things you can do to create $2,000. Like if your life depended on it, could you come up with $2,000?
Yes.
Absolutely. So there you go. And you will now pay off $6,000 worth of debt in 2017. How does that feel? That feels amazing, does it not? No question. No question. This is Dani Johnson. We're going to continue with more right after this.
Be sure to tell a friend about the Dani Johnson Show. It just might be the key to the breakthrough they need. Stay right here for more of the Dani Johnson Show.
The whole story of how I went from homeless to millions is right here in this book, First Steps to Wealth. I'd love to give you a free copy of this book. Just dial 888-757-8880. You can get your free copy of this book. It's like a real book, my friend. You can get an ebook copy for free right now, or if you'd like to pay the shipping to get this $15 book to your house, I'd be happy to send it to you. 888-757-8880. Get your copy of First Steps to Wealth today and begin on a brand new path of some great success. Imagine living in a decrepit, unsafe hovel made of waste material on top of old mining tunnels that could explode and sink your home at any moment. Imagine no water to drink, no safe place to raise your children, no food for your starving baby. Imagine that your kids can't learn to read because they have to work to support the family instead of going to school. Could you imagine living in that kind of fear and hopelessness? This is exactly what families are dealing with in the poverty-stricken village of Santa Pancha, Nicaragua. These families can barely meet their basic food, water, and housing needs. We are transforming that village. Be a part of this miracle. I want you to go to the website now and learn how you can help. Go to kingsransom.org and click on Santa Pancha. There you can join with other warriors against poverty and help bring a miraculous transformation to Santa Pancha. That's kingsransom.org, kingsransom.org.
More resources, more training, more results. The DaniJohnson.com Insider Membership is your ultimate success shortcut. Get exclusive access to reports, videos, audios, ebooks, cheat sheets, and other training for your personal and professional life. This is truly DaniJohnson.com's best kept secret. Become an Insider member today and get on the fast track to success.
I just heard this amazing story. One of our clients had written us telling us that they had used job domination and unlimited success and has absolutely exploded their career. He said, Dani, I don't know where I'd be today without job domination and unlimited success. Listen, do you want more recognition from your coworkers? Do you want to be recommended to people all over the world? Do you want to be somebody that is highly sought after? Listen, if you're in a dead-end place where this gentleman found himself, but then learned new strategies and changed everything in his work life, and obviously this has resulted in higher bonuses and pay raises, you're next. 888-757-8880. Get your copy of Job Domination right now. 888-757-8880. Again, 888-757-8880. Job domination. That's what you need. It's time for you to dominate the job market and break through the rut that you're in.
If you knew you couldn't fail, what would you do with your life? Discover your own answer. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Well, there you have it. Come on, look. You just saw this conversation that we had with Pamela, right? So you got to look back and you have to reevaluate what should the number really have been? So I didn't set myself up for failure. You still have time. You do. And if you literally do what I just told Pamela to do, you can accomplish more in the next 30 days than you did the entire year, right? $2,000 worth of debt that she can pay off inside of 30 days is more than she did in any 1 month over this last year, right? And so she can at least make up that difference. It's all about focus. It's all about your priorities. It's all about really evaluating what should that number be? What can I do? What will I feel good about? So moving forward, come on, the year is not over. I challenge you now. Find out what everybody else is doing and do the exact opposite. Most people wait till Monday or they wait till the beginning of the year before they're actually going to accomplish something. Don't wait. Get a head start, get focused now, and treat it as though it's January 1 already. Do not keep in the habit of the excuses. Do not stay in the habit and the pattern of failure, but instead start taking action today on what you can do to accomplish it. I don't care if it has to do with sales, if it has to do with business growth, if it has to do with losing weight. Come on, why not? Why not lose weight while everyone else is going to pack on a good 10 to 15 pounds this month? Why not you shrink by 10 to 15 pounds this month? Let it be that you have a head start on everybody else moving forward into the new year. So you've been equipped today to not end up like most people, the majority, who are going to go with the masses and not succeed. So now it's up to you. Now it's up to you. You heard the very first caller that called in with Karen from from the UK. You heard that story. They set a goal. They focused on making it happen, and they paid whatever the price was to make that happen. You can do that over the next 30 days. You can. You can do this. This is not rocket science, friend. You can make it happen. So thanks so much for joining us today. And listen, if this show was helpful and beneficial to you, imagine all the other people that it could be helpful to as well that you know. There's somebody right now that perhaps is feeling like a terrible failure and feeling like next year is going to be worse than this year. You can help just flip the switch in their head by letting them know about today's show. Let them listen to today's program. How will they hear it? By you sharing it on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or even through email. You can email the link, even text the link, because if you're on our website, DaniJohnson.com, you can see today's show right on our website, and you can literally just copy that link from your cell phone and text it on over to somebody else and say, you know what? I listened to this today and it made me think of you. Everything's probably going great in your life, but just in case you needed a little bit of encouragement, listen to this. I'm sure it'll help you. So do that right now. Do that. I can't tell you how many people, just by listening to something as simple as this, can change everything in their life. So do somebody else a favor. Freely you receive this, freely pass it on to someone else. This is Dani Johnson. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll talk to you tomorrow. God bless.
If this episode was an encouragement to you, go to DaniJohnson.com and share it with your friends now. You never know who else needs to hear it. This has been the Dani Johnson Show. Join us every weekday at 7 a.m. for more insights that will help you get to the life you've always wanted.